3,300 plus years before, my fathers or predecessors said, when Moshe Rabbeinu called Bila Hashem Eli, who's for Hashem? Eli, come to me. It was a calling. And he said, my father answered the calling. And you see the reward of him answering the calling 3,300 years later, because what he did, I'm still a calling. A bracha to you. The decision that you make today should impact you and your children and your children's children for generations to come. The decisions you make today define the future. So it's not just responsible for ourselves, but responsible for the future of Jewish people. This is what he said to you. So saying that, I want to really turn to you, and I'm here really to learn from you. I don't want to give a lecture, I want to learn from you. Lighting these candles and thinking about what lighting of these candles means for us. There's a wonderful posuk. Vayomer Hashem v'yi or. And Hashem said, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. Vaya or, it was light. Imagine that you need to explain, you Rashi, you Medrash, and the rabbis of the Medrash, the rabbis of the Talmud, wanted to bring the depth of the oral law. If they wanted to convey a message that will be relevant for generations to come, what would you say if you would be writing a commentary? Let there be light. Jews will be reading one day. Some of them will be reading when they're 7 years old, learning the Medrash. Some will be 17 when they're learning in Mesivta or the high school in Beis Yaakov. And some will be 70. They will be reading the same Medrash. In the same Medrash, the same words will reveal the depth of the Torah. So, what would be your explanation to let there be light? Okay? So, I'm just asking for your creativity for a moment. How would you explain let there be light as we're sitting here today with Hanukkah Neiras, we're sitting the second candle, and it's a special blessing. It's not simple. The fact that we're sitting here is a tremendous bracha for us to see Hanukkah candles and discuss Torah. The revelation really comes through Beis HaMikdash. The same light, the same menorah was in the Beis HaMikdash. And Ramban writes about it, that the same light, because it says, Behalois Chesaneres, that Moshe Rabbeinu says to Aaron, that when you will be lighting the neiros, this light will be that light forever. And the rabbi says, how can it be forever? So Ramban explains, you know how it can be forever? Because the light of the menorah will not be destroyed with the destruction of the temple. Everything else is destroyed. Whatever the services were in the temple, destroyed. But the menorah continues on through the miracle of Hanukkah. And this is the same light that was hidden, so to speak, at Jerusalem, at the mountain, at Zion, where with the destruction of the temple, this light was sent into exile, into Golos, and the spark of this light all over the world. So in a way, these are the sparks of the holiness. As we say, Haneru Salalo Koideshem. This is not just simple light of, this is holy light. So this holiness inspires us. So please, let there be light. What would you say to and there's no wrong answer. What would you say to
my thought process is this. I'm a software developer. So when I develop a program, I create a blueprint of some kind. Mental image, mental picture, mental model. Out of that mental model, I create a program, and program can run for hundreds of years. There is a program that I wrote about 20 years ago that painted the cars. I just found out recently that it still paints those cars 20 years later. I already forgot about it, I already forgot about it. I let it go, but it still paints the cars.
Paints the cars. Okay.
All right? So that's one thing.
This is the spiritual DNA of the world.
Yeah.
Information defined.
Right. So we define what will be in the future. We define what will be in the reality, so to say.
Okay.
We are about to live in the Mashiach times when there will be a lot of agents, and maybe you've heard about the speeches of very rich people, like Mark Benioff, for example, from Salesforce, where they're saying there will be agents. Agents are the machinery, the computers, little things that will be able to act upon what you will desire. You will say, I want to reply to emails. It will reply to emails automatically. It will be able to prepare the taxes for you. It will be able to do a lot of things for you. But the most important thing is, it's your desire.
Wow. You're not what you think. You are what you think about.
Right.
You are what you want.
Exactly.
Your desires define who you are.
Exactly. So machinery cannot just do the thing on its own. It still have to have that mechanism.
It doesn't know that it's alive.
It might think that it's alive. It actually was trying to get away. The ChatGPT was trying to get away from the computers.
I don't think so.
They were trying to get away from it.
But the question again, let there be light. Your explanation.
Yeah, so that's very easy. That Hashem gave us the light, right? Hashem told us how to light the menorah, light the lights and all that stuff. And we actually we actually give that to other generations by saying, this is the desire. I'm putting the lights, and I want you to continue the tradition. And it's interesting, like I see in my kids, they sometimes know the laws, they don't know the laws. But when I do for example, the brochas on the wine for Friday night, Kiddush, and then when I'm not at home, just before the Shabbat, they call me and say, how should I do the Kiddush? They do it themselves. They do that.
Wow.
So we are exactly we are the initiators. We are saying let it be light, and the light exists, like in the agents, like in our kids, and like our kids will continue with their kids. That's how I see it.
We want to focus your thought in one sentence. Let there be light. Your commentary.
So that's a desire to actually continue on.
Continue on what?
Continue on life.
Continue on life. Okay. We want light. We want Mashiach.
Yep.
We want light. Okay.
Yep.
And your name is again?
Reuven.
Reuven.
Yep.
Okay, Reuven. Okay. Any other? Rabbi, what would you say? What the Medrash will say? Huh? Let there be light. Well, this is possible.
It's the interpretation of Rashi.
Beautiful. And that means?
There is a purpose that will now start to happen.
Purpose.
Concept of night, of time, light, everything at once. When everybody here probably knows the Big Bang theory.
Okay. Let there be light means purpose. By the way, desire, purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Rebbitzin, you wanted to raise your hand? Okay. Tony? Clarity. One Rabbi one professor Tony used to say, clarity of death. Clarity. Okay, clarity. Clarity of what? Clarity of what?
Whatever.
Okay.
Life brings everything into clarity.
Okay. Oh, wow. Look at this, okay? Look at this. Anybody wants, remind me your name?
Vadim.
Huh?
Vadim.
Vadim. What would you say, Vadim? I'm going to get back to you. What do you say, Vadim?
I was thinking the same thing.
Say it yourself. Please.
That we are the light of the nations.
We are the light for the nations. Anybody wants to add? Anybody wants to add?
One second.
Please, Mark.
We're the light for the nations, and we have a purpose in this world to spread the light to other nations.
So think about it. Thank you so much, Mark.
During
Think
the
about
darkest
it.
times.
Yes, please. Go
During
ahead.
the darkest time.
Say it again.
During the darkest time
During the darkest time,
of the year.
when and the
and
year,
the time in the
and
world.
under the most difficult circumstances, lighting the candles in concentration camps, in Gulag of Soviet Union, in the battlefield of Gaza, lighting candles when it's dark and scary. What the Jews do, bring the light.
Yep.
And turning the darkness with this light into the light. Actually, turning it into the light. So,
It's small vessel, right? It's just a small amount of a small vessel. I heard recently that it's just a small vessel. It doesn't have to be a big, even just a small
it's the
vessel.
power of small light
you
and
know?
the power of
It's
small...
the greatest darkness,
Correct.
even the smallest light that we are, the small nation.
Yes.
May I add? Actually,
Please.
that's absolutely amazing point, because it was the beginning of the Bibi book, the book of Bibi Netanyahu,
It's
and
about
his life.
Yes,
But
yes.
initially, he was talking to the Chinese president,
yes.
and he was saying, "How many Jews in the whole world?" He said, 700 million people. And
He
Bibi,
said
Bibi,
not even-
Bibi, Bibi said, "Not even close to that. Not even the yeah,
This
we
is-
have."
It's about how small we are. Yeah.
Exactly right,
And
but
how
small,
significant
but
we
how
are.
significant we are, because it's a light, right? So you have billions of people, and we only have what, 12 million, 13 million, 14 million people, but everybody knows
World,
about it
yeah.
because it's light in the darkness. That's what it is. I love it. I love it. Thank you, thank you,
Wow,
thank you, thank you.
amazing. Moishe wants to add? Let there be light.
Let it be light. Well, there's a Hasidic interpretation of
No?
Oh,
We're looking for
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's the energy that
Sustainable.
Hashem put forward, to create the world. So the energy is called light.
Beautiful.
The whole world is light.
There's a tremendous depth of that, of course.
Can I add to that as well? I'm sorry. I was hearing the Dr. Green. Unfortunately, he's banned everywhere. He's like outcast. He's hunted by FBI and who knows who. He was saying that there is no need for oil. There is enough light that we will be able to pinpoint to get all of the energy in the world. We don't need to have the nuclear energy. We just need to have a light, and it would be enough for us to sustain Tesla cars, the houses, everything. And because he knows the technology behind it, a lot of people, bad people, good bad people, going after him.
But what Moishe is
Good,
telling
very good,
us
very good.
we talking
Light is
not
an
about
energy.
the physical light of the sun. The
Yeah.
sun was not created.
Yeah.
We're talking about the spiritual light that sustains the world. Obviously.
Perhaps.
Obviously. So let's be surprised. Medrash. Okay, I'm going to say just simple things. Medrash says, we light two words. Ze Abraham. Period. Medrash. We be light. Let there be light. This is Abraham. When Abraham came into the world, the light came into the world. Because Abraham led to the existence of the Jewish people, and the mission of the Jewish people is defined to be light upon the nations.
Right.
So the nation of Abraham Avinu, of the Jewish people, is the light. Second word of Medrash. V'yor ze ma'asehem shel tzadikim. These are the actions of the righteous people. What does it tell you? These are the actions of the righteous people. We may think that light is something very, very spiritual and metaphysical. And it is true. But what's less obvious, that light is not just meditation, and light is not just thoughts and feelings, and even not just words. Light is actions, and this is not obvious. Actions of the righteous people who show the way, as you said, of morality, of justice, of kindness, of generosity, of courage. in the face of war and tragedy and difficulties and despair, they show faith, commitment, and behave in a way that the rabbis say, that is the light. So every time a person behaves in the way of Kiddush Hashem, that is sanctified Hashem, this is the light. So I wanted to show you something that I believe for me would be important. Maybe I did it in the past, but I wanted to tell you there was a wonderful person by the name Rabbi Azriel Tauber. I don't know if anyone heard of somebody, Rabbi Azriel Tauber.
He came to our Shabbaton once.
Unbelievable. Rabbi Azriel Tauber came to Moscow. Rabbi Azriel Tauber came to Sinai Academy, and he used to come to Sinai Academy Sunday after Sunday and taught my parents, and I translated him. And we went to Lakewood, and he was telling, you know what, he's a Holocaust survivor, as you know, he was running away from Nazis, then he lived in Israel, then he came to America, and he became a big businessman, and he had huge real estate, right, you know this. And he said, at the age of 40, I just asked myself, why am I here? So I used to translate many of his stuff. He was a wonderful human being. His book, by the way, As on Heaven, So on Earth. Such a beautiful book. Needs to be translated to Russian. It's such an amazing book, so relevant. Such an unbelievable relevancy of this book. So Rabbi Azriel Tauber once spoke, and he said that after he gave a class, and I'm sure that one of the classes he spoke about a Spanish Jew, that actually the Spanish Jew who wrote about this. Maybe you heard about the story of a Jew in Warsaw who was fighting in a rebellion against Nazis, and he was about to die. And he put his words, his final words in a bottle and hid it, and this bottle was later on found. And they translated whatever they put and published this book. And he says, Hashem, it was his conversation with Hashem. He says, Hashem, you gave me everything. I had a family, I had children, I had wife. And now we were hunted like animals. My wife was killed, my children were killed. And now I'm hiding here, and everything is burning around me. I know I'm going to die very soon, and I want to tell you, Hashem. I remember a story about a Spanish Jew who was in a similar situation like me, who had everything in Spain, and then the Spanish Inquisition came, and he had no choice but to run away to Morocco, and he was living in Morocco in a camp for refugees, and it was a typhus, some diseases, and people, and Jewish people were dying, and his wife died, and his children died, and then he wrote the following words, and he says, I want to repeat his words. And he said, Hashem, you gave me everything, and you took this, and you took that, and you can take everything from me, but not my faith in you. You're not going to be able to break me. My faith in you, I confirm. And the Jew in Warsaw said the same thing. This is what really, that was Rabbi Tauber's message. Many times he repeated similar ideas, that you can take away everything or anything, but not what we want, as you said, Reuben, right? Mm-hmm. Not what we want, not who we are, not what we believe in. That, by the way, means faith does not mean just faith in God. Maybe more correctly to say that faith is faithfulness to ourselves and our values. And this you cannot take away from us. So he said that once he was giving a lecture, and the woman came to him and said, Rabbi Tauber, you're speaking exactly like Viktor Frankl. And he asked, who's Viktor Frankl? He never like, oh, I thought you were quoting Viktor Frankl. I said Viktor Frankl. So, and you know who Viktor Frankl? Anybody can tell me who Viktor Frankl? You want to tell me who Viktor Frankl?
He's from the third Venetian school of psychoanalysis.
Yeah, but about his life.
Yeah, good.
About his life.
Logotherapy.
He was the head of the ward of suicide victims.
So, in the way Viktor Frankl opposed his teacher Sigmund Freud.
Yep.
Sigmund Freud thought Human being is just an animal with reflexes. Just let it go, be free. He said, no. Without meaning, without purpose, without consciousness and conscious, there's no purpose in living. And he said he argued with Freud about who is a human being. And he said we could not possibly have this laboratory of life like concentration camp. But he said, I saw in concentration camps people who were starved almost to death, and according to Freud, they were supposed to fight with each other like animals. But instead of fighting, some of them were giving their last pieces of food to others. He says, I saw these people acting like angels with my own eyes. And therefore he discovered some things that I wanted to read you. And if we need to finish, Moshe, tell us, we'll finish right away, we'll continue, depends on the situation. But basically, he said the following. We, he says, we who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the barrack, comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer significant proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing: the lust of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude to any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is asked. People say, what's the meaning of my life? You know who defines and who decides? You. It didn't really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. That was written in Auschwitz. These are the words of the book. Man search for meaning.
Yep.
We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and not meditation,
But in action.
but in right action
Exactly. Yep.
and in right conduct.
Yep.
And these are the words of the Medrash, who said, let there be light, not talk, not meditation, but right action. Man's main concern is not to get pleasure or to avoid pain, but rather to see a meaning in his life. According to him, that is the greatest need of human life. Without that, person cannot be happy. And even in concentration camp, he developed the technique to help people to overcome the most difficult circumstances, not commit suicide, by search for meaning. Meaning cannot be invented. It can only be found, and not inside oneself. Hope for the artificial values, for example, success or even happiness. And the invented meaning is like climbing on a rope thrown into the air. This rope is reliable only when firmly attached to something very solid and strong at the top. Guarantee that he will stand firmly on it can only give faith. Only God. And then nothing is scary.
Wow.
So we have a few seconds to finish, no? So maybe just as a thought, what does it mean to be a Jew? What does it mean to be a Jew? I would say, for me, an interesting example, what does it mean to be a Jew? What it means to be a Jew is the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu, you have a wonderful name, Moshe, remember what it means? Moshe.
You know,
And
there's no Moshe in the Talmud. I asked my rabbi there.
Huh?
Is there Rabbi Moshe in the Talmud? He says no, because he was too like.
well, maybe because
troublemaker.
maybe because nobody liked Moshe, because nobody liked Moshe. But what's the difference between, let's say, Buddhism? Many of my friends went through Buddhism. I don't know if we have people who are specializing in Buddhism in our audience.
You know, the head of the American Buddhism is a Jew in
Oh,
Colorado.
Who else?
Nobody questioned that. So many friends of mine also went through Buddhism, and they know what it is. I studied Kung Fu, all kind of Chinese stuff, of course. So Buddhism. So the story of Buddhism, that Buddha was a prince living in a palace. And one day he walked away from the palace where the life was harmonious, and he saw suffering and pain. He saw a sick person. What did he do? Anybody knows? This is the story of Buddhism began.
He left.
Huh?
He left it all.
He left it all and he escaped into meditation. Meditation. So one person I remember. Oh, by the way, you remember Ilya, not Ilya, Alex, Sasha Ilyin. Yeah? What's his name today?
Halsberg.
Yeah, Sasha. Because of Sasha, I came here. You remember? So we had another friend, Alex Berdichevsky, who was teaching Torah, and people were bothering him, telling, "Listen, why do you teach us Torah? I'm involved with yoga." I had a student who actually told me, you know, leave me alone. I'm involved with yoga. I told him, read yoga in Jewish way. If you read yoga in Jewish way, what you'll get? Good. So I said, anyway, so he became a very good. Later on, he became the leader of the master jury. This boy, Ariel Igor, today Chaim Brisman. So I remember when we were discussing this. So Ariel Berdichevsky was asked in the class, "Tell me, what's the difference between yoga or yoga and Jewish approach?" He said, think about India. People meditate while other people are starving on the streets and dying from hunger.
Crazy.
Meditation of Buddhism, escaping reality, escaping into meditation. You see suffering, you see pain, and you react with escaping into meditation. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu. What do we know about Moshe Rabbeinu? Think about it. It says about the baby, Vayigdal Hayeled. What does it mean? Who can help me translate? Vayigdal Hayeled means the boy or the child, Yeled, grew. The next pasuk begins. Vayacharei Yamim, and then what are the days? Some days passed. Vayigdal Moshe. And Moshe grew. Wait a second, Rashi is bothered by this question. We just saw a sentence before that Moshe grew. Now Torah repeats again the same thing. We knew that the child was Moshe. Now this Moshe grew. Why do we need to say it again? Anybody can give me an idea? Why does Torah repeat itself?
Different kind of growing, physically and maturing emotionally.
Rashi answers exactly as you said. The first thing, physically. But this pasuk really teaching us that when child is growing, the child may remain a child even in a big body, because not enough to grow physically. You need also to grow spiritually. How do you measure spiritual growth? The pasuk gives us metrics and KPIs. Mm-hmm. What are the KPIs of spiritual growth? Vayigdal Moshe. What did he do? He left the palace of his father, or whatever it is, of the Pharaoh. Vayar besivloso. And he saw the suffering of his brothers. He went to his brothers, and he saw the suffering of his brothers. And Rashi says, Nosan libo ve'edov lirois. He gave his heart, not only his eyes, and his eyes to see. So sometimes, I will give an example, that someone is, let's say, an old man comes to a bus, on the train, and a young man sits and reads a book or newspaper. Of course, he sees the old man, but doesn't feel the pain. He doesn't understand what it means to be an old man and standing in this bus. So he continues to read because he sees and he doesn't see. It's not enough to see with your heart, with your eye. You need to see with your heart. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? He saw the suffering of his brothers with his eyes and with his heart. And what did he do? He responded. And he dedicated his life to helping. So anybody, and this is the measure of greatness. The measure of greatness is an ability to feel the pain and found his own mission. I would quote the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, if you correct me, Moshe, you know more than me, of course. If a person sees something in another person, a blemish, a problem, and condemns it, what did he find?
Himself.
Problem.
He found something to correct in himself.
Yep.
But if he sees a problem in the world that he wants to fix, what did he find?
His purpose.
He found his purpose and his mission in the world. And this is again what Viktor Frankl said. The mission cannot be meditated and found by someone just dreaming, in his bed. You see the pain, you see the suffering, you see the war, you see the need, and you respond. And this way, like Moshe Rabbeinu showed his greatness by responding to the need of the people, so too in our generations that are people who respond. Moshe and his Rebbetzin saw the need to unite and inspire Jews in Los Angeles. They responded, their mission. Rebbetzin Yerushalmi saw the need to inspire people, and Baruch Hashem, we have her here. Everybody's here has their unique light to share. And I think that when we see the light of the menorah, it really reminds about who we are. I think that as collectively as a nation, in the menorah, not just a symbol of the Jewish state, menorah is a symbol of Jewish people. Who we are sharing the light of Hashem. Hashem wanted us to bring this light into this world. And I will quote Zohar on this, because when it says Vayior, on the following psukim, it says after each day, Vayichen, 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 as a sign of agreement or blessing. However, on the posuk, let there be light, there was no confirmation of agreement from above. And then, when Hashem speaks to Aaron from Moshe Rabbeinu and says to him, Ba'alos chaisaneres, you should elevate these candles, you should light the candles of the menorah. And it says, Vayasken Aaron. And Aaron did so. So Zohar says, you know what happened now? Now, because of course you don't need to say it, of course Aaron did it. Like, why do you need to say, and Aaron did so? This is the can that was missing from before. And this, what Hashem wanted to say, I don't want the light from above, because I created this light, but then I hid it. Because it was light that was given to you. What I want the light in this world, here, in the darkness, here. And this is why we say, Ratzak Baruch Hu livnois dira
B'tachtonim.
Baruch Hu wanted to bring light into our lives. My bracha to all of us. So we should seek and see the opportunity to share this light with people. When I say about this, I don't mean just, for others. First of all, when a husband comes home, he should come home remembering that the menorah in the temple had 7 candles, which means 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 what else? Nostrils, and the mouth. It resembles the face of a tzaddik. When you speak, to anybody you speak, your face shares the light. You love people, you love your family. When you come home, you bring the light. What did Aaron Cohen do? He lit the candles at the Beis Hamikdash, but Beis Hamikdash resembles Avraham Avinu's home. Beis Hamikdash everything was in Beis Hamikdash. It was a resemblance of the first Jewish home. So, Jewish home is a Beis Hamikdash. So what we need to do? We need to bring light into our homes, into our families, sharing the light with loved ones, with families, with communities, and then collectively with the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
We're running a little bit out of schedule.
We're fine.
8. Well, Miriam is here anyway. So if you want to know how to squeeze something out of yourself, then stay in with Miriam. If you don't want to squeeze